it for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Matt Ohayon with you on this Friday evening. We're recording in the afternoon because you know I am the Hebrew Hammer, and today is Yom Kippur, or Yom Kippur Eve. It starts at night, so won't be able to record later today. Let's take care of some business before we jump into the first two games of the regular season for your Montreal Canadiens. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group is a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. We're also brought to you by Brewed, Quebec, and a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bittt Tibi beer offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bittt at Tibi, embrace your true nature. And are you looking for the ultimate entertainment experience? Playground has it all. Gaming, poker, fine dining, live music, and DJs, all with unmatched customer service. Why would you go anywhere else? Just minutes from downtown Montreal across the Mercier Bridge. Playground, your top destination for fun. We're also brought to you by Betway. Betway is a leading global online betting and gambling brand. Follow your gut instinct and go with Betway. Go on betway.com or scan the QR code to join the action. Must be 18 years or older. And please play responsibly. Finally, fall is the perfect time to start a new job. Unlock your potential with Secure Payment Experts. Secure is the highest paying English-speaking call center in the Montreal area. That's right. This job is English only, no French required, which we know is next to impossible to find here in Montreal. They are always growing the team, and with two great locations in downtown Montreal and the West Island, Secure offers a fun and unique culture with great earnings potential, plus no experience necessary. There are two ways to apply. Either head over to Life at Secure on Instagram and tap apply now, or text apply now with your name and phone number to 514-909-8344. Come work at Secure. That's Secure with a K. Apply today. Start tomorrow. Okay, let's do this thing because this NHL regular season has kicked off. Well, really, it kicked off on Saturday, but no one really knew about it. I think it maybe even dropped before that last Friday. Who knows? There was like 4 opening nights. The one that everyone cared about was on Wednesday, not Thursday. Wednesday night. So let's bring him in. He's my usual Friday guest from the Montreal Gazette, Hockey Inside Out, Stu Cowan. How we doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic for 2 reasons. One, hockey season's finally here. We can finally stop talking about who's going to make the roster, who's going to be the starting goaltender on opening night, whatever the stories may be. We could stop talking about that, start talking about actual games. And for reason number 2, I'm on my taper for my marathon. My marathon is next week, which is why you will be talking to either Tony or Shane next week.
All right. Good luck with the marathon.
Thank you. So here we go. Wednesday was an exciting game. You know, for people who like goaltending duels and shots off posts, exciting game. But I feel like, yesterday's game was way more exciting because you actually got goals. Yes, the Canadiens beat Toronto, and Montreal fans can laugh in the face of Toronto fans, but last night was the real litmus test I found, because it was probably the first time where the team had to dig a little deep. They were probably a little tired after that game in Montreal and then flying to Boston.
Yeah, well, Wednesday's game was really exciting. A buddy of mine, Pat McTurney, is a longtime season ticket holder. I spoke with him in the second intermission. Again, after the game, he said it was one of the most exciting games he can remember being at the Bell Center. The opening ceremonies, I thought they did a really good job. Lots of shots. The Canadiens shot a lot. Sam Montembeault stood on his head. Fun night at the Bell Center. And then, of course, last night in Boston, a little bit of a different story. I mean, similar problem. Going into the season, I said the two biggest question marks for the Canadiens were going to be goaltending and defense. And we're starting to get some answers. I mean, Sam Montembeault, as I've mentioned on previous podcasts, I believe he's proven that he can be a number one goalie in the NHL and can give his team a chance to win every night. He's the main reason they won the season opener. And I've also said that Cayden Primeau hasn't shown me that he has the consistency to be a regular NHL goalie, even as a backup. And, last night, that sixth goal he let in, like, what a heart. Like, you come back, you cut within one goal, and then boom. I mean, that's like a goal like a midget B or C goalie lets in. An NHL goalie, puck going in off his own stick. And too many shots for both goalies and too much running around in their own end, which is what we saw a lot of last year too. So there's still a lot to clean up. Back-to-back and in Boston, home opener for Boston. Swayman in goal after signing his big contract. I didn't expect the Canadiens would win last night. Last season they had a lot of problems in back-to-backs. But they were outplayed. And it just shows you, this team, the Canadiens, rebuilding takes a while. And when you see them play against teams like Toronto and Boston, you realize that they're at another level, right? Like, Toronto dominated the game with shots, 48 shots on goal. And Boston, there's times in both games where the Canadiens just couldn't get the puck out of their own end, right? They were running around. It looked like the other team was on a power play. So at the start of the season, I'm sure if you had said to Marty St. Louis, if you start the season 1-on-1 after these two games, would you take it? I'm sure you would say yes. And now we'll get another look Saturday night when the Ottawa Senators are at the Bell Center, and I'm pretty sure Sam Montembeault will be back in goal. Yeah,
I think I don't know what the leashes are like in the dressing room, because there were a couple things I noticed last night. Obviously, the biggest one was the stark contrast, as you mentioned, between Samuel Montembeault playing and then Cayden Primeau playing. I wonder, what the plan is or was going into the season. In terms of games and load management, because I feel like the Canadiens wanted this to be a 1A, 1B type of situation, not a number one and number two. So we'll see how long that takes to adjust. If we're only 2 games in, but yeah. I feel like we've seen a lot of Cayden Primeau already, that we can make the determination that, Sam Montembeault should be solidified in that crease as a number one. Period.
But I think going into the season, Canadiens want Sam Montembeault to be the number one goalie, and they also want Cayden Primeau to push him. They don't want to just hand him the job. But Primeau, he gets beat so many times to the glove side, and if you watch the game against Boston, that's where they're shooting, right? The book's out. They shoot high glove side all the time on him. He goes down early. He gets beat a lot to the glove side. And it's just, I said, the consistency. And the thing, playing goalie in Montreal is one of the most pressure-packed positions in all of sports. And Sam Montembeault has the perfect mentality for it. Nothing bothers him. He's always smiling. He's always happy. He lets in a bad goal. He's able to shake it off and continue. Whereas with Primeau, he's the physical talent's there, but mentally he just doesn't seem that like he wilts under the pressure, almost like a deer in the headlights at the NHL level. And if you look, like, he's played 45 games now with the Canadiens in the NHL. He's got an 11-22-6 record with a 3.53 goals against average and an 891 save percentage. I mean, the only reason he was here last year is because Kent Hughes believed he wouldn't clear waivers and they'd lose him for nothing if he tried to send him down to the Rocket. But last year they had Jake Allen here too, right? They had the 3 goalie rotation. They had, if Primeau was struggling, they could have him practice a little more and maybe not play as many games. Whereas now they only got 2. And I imagine Kent Hughes still feels the same, that if he puts him on waivers, he's going to lose Primeau for nothing. But how patient is he going to be willing to be before he realizes that maybe we need another backup? And again, it's only 1 goal. Cayden Primeau might bounce back and from this and play really well. But Jacob Dobbs down in Laval, he played well last season. You look at 24, 18, and 6, 2.93 goals against average, 906 save percentage. He looked good during training camp. So as much as the Canadiens want Primeau to push Montembeault, Dobbs is going to be pushing Primeau. And that could put the Canadiens in an uncomfortable position because, as I said, Kent Hughes believed last year, and if you watch that Crave documentary series, they went sort of behind the scenes, that he was 100% convinced that Cayden Primeau was going to get claimed on waivers, which is why they kept him. And now there's more pressure on Primeau this year. He is the backup guy. And he, speaking with him before training camp, he wants to, and at the end of last season, he wants to push Montembeault. Like, he he wants to push him to get the net, but that wasn't a very good start last night in Boston.
No, it wasn't. And you know what it's going to be shades of? Because I feel like, listen, again, we're only 2 games in, but the fact is the Canadiens beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't care how many posts the Maple Leafs hit. They beat them. And, the Canadiens, at one point, I think a lot of people were expecting them. No, I don't want to use this. I don't want to say slaughtered by the Bruins because that's a little intense, but I think people expected the Bruins to take care of business with ease, we'll say. And, coming off the back-to-back, like you said, and they did it. At one point, it looked like it because the Canadiens were getting outshot 18-6 at one point, and then it equalized. I think it ended 29-25 or something like that. So the Canadiens were skating with the Boston Bruins last night. And it ended up being goaltending being the difference. So I really wonder, it's shades of, if they can make it all the way and be in the mix, like their goal is to be in the mix until the bitter end, will it be shades of the 2019 season when the Canadiens, they missed out of the playoffs by 1 point and kind of everyone was pointing the finger at Antti Niemi saying, really, you couldn't give us one more save, one more win? That's kind of what this could turn into should the Canadiens be in the mix the entire way.
Well, the thing that impressed me last night in Boston, and it's impressed me ever since Marty St. Louis took over as coach, they don't give up. They're down 5-2 going into the third period. They keep fighting back. They get a goal from Josh Anderson. It was nice to see him, get a goal so early in the season. And then they get a goal from Brendan Gallagher, his second of the night. Happy to see him get a couple of goals also to cut it to 5-4. And, they're fight all the way back to get to that situation. And then 17 seconds after Gallagher scores, Primeau lets in that banana goal, as Tony would call it. And everybody in the bench must have just gone, oh, man, we fight back from that to get within a goal, and then that happens. But they still came back after that. I mean, they kept fighting to the end, which is one of the most impressive things since Marty St. Louis taken over as coach, is just the compete level. But, that's what a blow. You fight back to get within a goal in Boston. It looked like they were out of the game, and then your goalie lets in a goal like that. And, again, a goalie in the NHL, your number one job is to give your team a chance to win when you're in the net. And Cayden Primeau didn't give his team a chance to win last night. And Sam Montembeault almost single-handedly won the game against Toronto. Yeah,
it's just tough to watch the stark difference because you feel bad for Cayden Primeau. You don't want anyone to fail.
He's a super nice kid when you talk to him. He's and just a really good kid to talk to. Sam Montembeault too, but mentally, I just don't know if he has and he's admitted that he's had mental problems, like forgetting about a bad goal. You got to have a short memory when you're a goalie. Same as if you're a quarterback in the NFL, you throw this interception, you got to forget about it. Or a pitcher in baseball, you give up a home run ball, you got to forget about it. He seems to not be able to forget about it. And my other concern is watching the Bruins last night, like high glove side, every single shot. Like they realize, teams around the NHL realize that's his weakness.
Yeah, and it's not the first time we've seen that. Remember, last season against the Florida Panthers, right. I think he let in 6 goals, and they were all high glove side. It came to a point, where there were a couple of shots last night where I was like, oh, that was a good shot. Okay, fine. They're on the power play, they have man advantage, puck's moving around. Bruins always move the puck well on the power play, and they got a couple past it. But there were, obviously the last one was the big wow banana, but he should have had a couple more last night. But
a couple of good shots, but he wasn't screened. And that's
it.
If it's more in the NHL, so many goals is, talking with Rick Green recently, about with Patrick Roy, he said the key, we just let him see the puck. If he saw it, he was going to stop it. Primeau saw those shots, but didn't stop them.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, we'll go to one more, maybe negative. Depends how you see it. Before we switch to the positive of the week, because there is a lot of positive.
Yeah.
There is.
I'd love Cayden Primeau to prove me wrong. I'd love to see him bounce back and have a great season. But it's like it's 45 games now in the NHL, right? He's got 11-22-6 record, and 3.53 goals against average. It's not good.
So the next maybe negative is it seems like the pitchforks are already out for Mike Matheson amongst the Canadiens fans. And listen, I think Mike Matheson has earned himself some leash. He's probably had his best 2 offensive seasons with the of his career with the Canadiens. So I think he's earned himself some leash. But what's putting a lot of pressure on him is how. I guess we'll fix a negative into it. We'll merge the two. Is how Lane Hutson looks, and fans are already clamoring for Hutson to take Matt Matheson's spot on PP1, and it's really after last night. It's hard to disagree. It really is.
Well, I do my Habs mailbag every weekend on the Hockey Inside Out website, answering questions from readers, and I got a lot of questions this week about Mike Matheson, and I'm surprised, like the amount of almost hate for Mike Matheson is sort of shocking to me. Good thing for Mike Matheson, he's the first, like he never reads social media, he never goes on it, he doesn't look at it. But I mean, last season he ranked second on the Canadiens in power play points. He had 28, that's 3 behind Nick Suzuki, and he ranked 8th among all NHL defensemen in power play points. But I understand the frustration fans have with Lane Hutson not being on the first power play unit. I think they should both be on the first power play unit. I might have mentioned this last week when Lane Hutson has a ton of skill. Like he's, I was watching Lanty Sham last night, and Benoit Brunet was saying, he's a natural. Like just let him go play. Just let him play. And I agree with that. But one thing he doesn't have is a booming slap shot. He doesn't have a hard shot. And on the power play, I think you need to have that shot from the point, or at least the threat of that shot from the point. So that's why I'd like to see them both. I think you're wasting Hutson putting on the second power play. He's not getting enough ice time out there. I would put him on the first power play with Matheson and station him on one of the sides and give him the ability to roam around and create offense. And we saw he created a couple of goals last night from sort of the right boards, and put him in that position. So you still have the threat of Matheson shooting the puck, but you have, feeding it off to Hutson and allowing Hutson to move around and create stuff. And guys, you almost have to attack him, right? You can't give him space. And if you attack him, it's going to open up other things. So if I was Marty St. Louis, who's now running the power play instead of Alex Burrows, I would use them both on the first power play unit. And so you still have the threat of Matheson's shot, and you have the threat of Hutson doing whatever he's going to do. Nobody knows what he's going to do, right? But I think that's the way I would go, because the second power play unit's getting on the ice for 30 seconds or something, 40 seconds at the end, right? And it's usually after the puck has been dumped down the other end. So I agree with fans that Hutson is sort of wasted on the second power play unit, but I don't agree with all this sort of vitriol directed at Matheson for a power play because he's an elite offensive defenseman in the NHL, and the Canadiens haven't had one of those since, I guess, PK Subban.
Well, so the thing that frustrated me over the first two games was that we've seen Mike Matheson at his best in Montreal, and he has the ability. He's not the type of player that will, every time he's on the ice, bring you out of your seat, but he has that ability. He's scored many goals where he does that. And like you said, he's second on the Canadiens in power play points. So last season, so he knows what he's doing, but it just felt like he maybe pressure of wanting to keep his role on the first power play unit is starting to get to him. I don't know how to read it, because it's just, he was making plays, just shooting the puck into players' shin pads the first two games of the season. It's just, we know better, and we know you're capable of better. Why aren't you doing better?
But how much of that is him? How much of that is him deciding he's going to shoot, or Marty St. Louis saying that's what he wants on the power play, right? They want that shot. But again, that's why I say if you put Lane Hutson out there also, it's an other option. Like Slafkovsky on one side. The other guys were set up to shoot, right? Suzuki's sort of a playmaker on the power play also. But the other guys are out there to shoot. And, Brendan Gallagher in the second power play, happy to see him stationed in front of the net. I think I don't know why they haven't used him there more in the past. I mean, that's his area, right? But with Matheson, there's some shots getting blocked up, but on the other hand, at least he's shooting. Like one of the things the Canadiens power play, they had a 5-on-3 against Toronto for 1 minute and 34 seconds. They had one shot on goal, and they had about 250 passes. I'm in the press box going, somebody shoot the puck. Shoot the puck. You're 5-on-3. The odds are about 90% you're going to get the rebound back. But the pass, they basically killed off their own penalty. So for Matheson shooting, I'd like to see them shoot more on the power play. I think there's too many guys that aren't shooting the puck. And again, Matheson's got a bomb. He won the hardest shot competition at the Canadian Skills Competition last year, the year before, over 100 miles an hour. And like I said, watch Lane Hutson when he winds up, and he's got a quick snapshot, but he's got to be in close to use that. Like he's not going to score on a bomb from the blue line. The only way he's scoring from the blue line is if somebody deflects a shot he's putting through.
Yeah, Frankie Corrado on the TSN broadcast last night, he was kind of comparing him to, he actually made the exact same comparison, and he said he doesn't have a booming shot from the point. The comparison to make is Quinn Hughes. And I think it's a great comparison because Quinn Hughes is fantastic at skating that blue line, commanding that power play in Vancouver. But, you know, he always ends up ending the season with about 6 or 7 goals. You know, for someone who puts up 80 points, it's not a lot of goals. But, you know, it's just not a part of his game.
With Matheson and Hutson both there, they can sort of, Matheson can be on the point and Hutson on the side, but they can sort of rotate back and forth too. And one of the problems with Canadian power play in previous years is not enough player movement. Everybody's stationary. Pass the puck around, and it's so predictable. And I think putting Hutson out there with Matheson would get rid of some of that predictability, and he'd be able to set up guys to shoot. He'd be able to set up Matheson probably in areas where he's not covered, and the stop shot isn't going to go off a guy's shin pad. And he's got a bomb. I mean, Mike Matheson can shoot the puck. He can score from the blue line, even if the goalie sees it. You know, he has that ability to do that. So again, just to get back, like to me, I understand fans' frustration with Lane Hutson not on number one power play, but I'd like to see them both there.
So you alluded to it, so let's touch on it. You know, not enough players shooting the puck, specifically on the power play. And one player that stuck out to me as not shooting the puck, and it stuck out to a lot of fans, was Kirby Dach. I found that this Canadiens team is a completely different team when he is in the lineup. But man, he's got to shoot the puck. I mean, he's got to shoot it. He had the puck on his stick on that power play last night about 50 different occasions and didn't even send one attempt towards the net. It was all trying to go cross ice or cross zone pass to Caufield or Suzuki, whoever was standing there.
Too many playmakers and not enough shooters. So to me, you put Matheson and Hutson, you got 2 playmakers, one who can also shoot the puck and let them set up the other guys to shoot it. You're right, because I've noticed that too. Kirby's hanging, like a lot of chances he had to shoot. Slavkovsky's better now. Like last season, he wouldn't hit the puck either. He's gotten better this season. Always struggled overall the first couple of games. Again, it's only 2 games. But I mean, you got it. I mean, to me, like 3 passes and shoot. You know, maybe 4, not 10. And you know, in the press box watching the clock wind down and like, okay, 134, 5-on-3, 124, 114, 110. You almost want to start playing the Harlem Globetrotters, Sweet Georgia Brown, right? The puck's going around and around and around. It's 5-on-3. Shoot the damn puck. Shoot the damn puck. But you know, Marty taking over the power play, it's going to take a little time. He was an outstanding player on the power play during his career. But yeah, they got to shoot it more. That to me, that's especially 5-on-3. 5-on-3 should be 1-2 passes, shoot, 1-2 passes, shoot, get the rebound, and go from there.
So let's talk positives because, you know, again, like we said, or you said off the top, had Martin St. Louis woken up this morning, you know, and you told him, hey, you're going to start the season 1-1 against Boston and Toronto. You're going to be there the whole way with Boston, but you're going to lose. You're going to come up just short.
I think Canadiens fans would have been happy with that too, right? 1-1 against 2 of the best teams in the league.
That's it. So, and 2 divisional opponents who, frankly, the Canadiens have really not been good against the past few seasons. So
Bruins are 14-0-1 their last 15 games against the Canadiens.
That's I think Jeremy Swayman has never lost in regulation against the Canadiens. They said that last night on TSN. He was 7-5
years since Montreal won a game in Boston.
There you go. So, and every game in Boston, I get a text from my buddy Joe, and I get a text from my buddy Andy. Haha, the Habs suck. We're better. Every year it happens, and multiple times a year.
I got lots of friends who are Bruins fans also. Yeah, you get that.
Yeah. So, but let's focus on the positives. We spoke about it. You touched upon it. Brendan Gallagher, 2 goals last night, and you know what? It kind of looked like last night. And even against Toronto, he looked really good. And it kind of, you know, all the chatter, 6.5, he's getting up there in age. How do we get rid of the contract? It's an untradeable contract. Oh my God, it's one more hand injury, he's done. The first 2 games felt like a big middle finger to a lot of people who have doubted him, because last year he was okay. You know, he scored 20 goals. And if people are still expecting 30 out of him, that's on you. But he looks like a motivated, not that he ever doesn't look motivated, but he looked like a motivated, in shape player, call it. He doesn't look 32 going on 33. He looked 28 going on 29.
Well, talking with him during training camp, and he had said, he had a full summer where he was healthy. Like for him, usually going into the offseason, he's recovering from some kind of an injury, right? So he was able to take a little bit of a break and then get right into his training. So he's in shape. And I think Marty St. Louis using him on the power play in that second unit, and, saw a lot of negative comments about what the hell is Gallagher doing on the power play. And I'm wondering, why hasn't he been used on the power play more in that position in front of the net? That's where he lives, right? I mean, if you go back to last season, in the last 5 games, he had 5 goals. So this is sort of a carryover from last season. And Marty St. Louis putting him in that power play spot, I'm sure has given him a boost also. And I was happy to see also that in the game last night, in the third period, he put Gallagher and Armia and Evans back together. Jake Evans has been one of the Canadiens' best players, I think, the first 2 games. And Joel Armia has played really well also. And they might be the 3 best players come over the first 2 games of the season. So I was happy to see Marty St. Louis put them back together. They started training camp together, and they looked really good. But, in my job, I don't have any teams I cheer for unless it's Canada. You can see the poster behind me from the Olympics. But there are athletes that I sort of root for. I want to see do well. Guys you maybe get to know a little bit or you respect. And I've gotten to know Brendan Gallagher a little bit over years, and I have the utmost respect for him. The work ethic is never questioned. Practice, games, whatever. It's 100%. That's the only way he knows how to play. But he's at his best when he's with regular line mates. And if he has that this year, and if they keep him in that second power play spot in front of the net, I would even, if he gets hot, I would even think about moving him to the first power play in that spot. He's willing to stand there and get the hell beat down of him. He had 16 games. It was 16 goals he had last year in 77 games, but not a lot of guys are willing to stand there in front of the net and take the beating he gets. And he does it, and he does it with a smile on his face. And the first goal he scored was a typical Galley goal. It traveled about 2 feet, but his second goal was a good shot. And again, he doesn't have the shot like Lane Hutson. He's going to beat guys from the blue line, but he can beat guys from the high slot. And a really good start for him. And I'm really happy to see Brendan Gallagher do that because, as he says, he doesn't care about proving people wrong. He likes to prove the people right who have stuck in his corner. And, I've always I'll never, people focus on his contract and is he overpaid now? Yes. What he's making for a guy who's, he's not going to score 30 goals again. He might get 20. He was underpaid when he was a 30-goal scorer. He never complained when he was underpaid. He was happy with the contract he had. Again, I find it hard to criticize a player when the work ethic is 100%. Guys get slower as age wears on, but if the work ethic is there 100% all the time, it's hard to be really critical of a guy. And Brendan Gallagher is showing that apart from that work ethic, he can still score when he gets chances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seemed like he heard all the talk of people going, oh, with the addition of Patrick Laine, the Canadiens have a great top 6. Bottom 6 could use some work. Yeah. No, he wants to prove that if he's in the lineup, he's having an impact no matter what. And, it felt like he was dragging his line mates into the fight last night, and which he usually does. His whole career, But it was so evident last night because it seemed like the bottom 6 was the only 6 that was going, and it was just really nice to see that after the rough season last year that a lot of players had in the bottom 6 that they kind of took over that game and a big one. It was the Boston Bruins home opener.
Yeah, and I spoke with Gallagher a bit about it during training camp about he seems to be at his best now when he's on a fixed line. When he was with Tatar and Danault, they're one of the best 5-on-5 lines in the NHL. But early in his career, he was the guy they put on whatever line wasn't doing well, right? This line sucks. We're going to put Gallagher on there. He's going to give it a spark. And he did. And I spoke with him about that. And he said it was sort of different when he was younger. Because he was younger, he would just go out there and go, and go. And he says, as you get older, your mind comes more into the game. It's not just going to the net, like you're thinking plays and you're trying to develop plays and you're trying to find good spots on the ice. And he says that's easier when you're with guys you're used to playing with and you have a little chemistry with them. And I really like the makeup of that line with Evans and Armia and Gallagher. on a good team in the NHL today, Brendan Gallagher is not a top 6 forward. I think he can still be a third line forward, a third line winger, or a very effective fourth line, although very overpaid. And again, that's, he got that contract. Good for him. He earned that contract. He was paid for what he had done in the past more than what he would do in the future. But I'd like to see Marty St. Louis stick with that line, because that line really clicked at training camp with our Evans, between Armia and Gallagher. They're really good friends off the ice. They have dinners together a lot. Evans and Gallagher carpool. They drive together to practice and all the time. So they're close off the ice, and they feed off each other well on the ice. Talked with Marty St. Louis this week about Armia, when he put Armia on the second line with Doc and Newhook taking Line A spot. And I was saying to him, the skill is there for him. There's no doubt about that. But the thing that's frustrating watching him is that he doesn't use Armia. He doesn't use his, like, he's, as I said to Marty, like, talking with Brendan, with Caden Goulet, and he said Armia is like the gentle giant, the friendly giant guy. And I asked Marty, like, does he have to be less friendly sometimes on the ice? Because that's the way I see him. Like, hits, like, you're so big, throw a big hit, do it. And Marty said yes and no was sort of his answer. He said he's such a smart player, and he doesn't cheat the game. He finds himself in good position. He has a good stick. But he said, might be interesting to see if he really got mad, what would happen, And I'd like to, I want to see Joel Armia get mad one game. I don't know what it would take. I want to see him get mad and just go out and start hitting guys and going through guys. But having said that, that line with Evans and Armia and Gallagher together, I think they think the game the same way. They're all three are very responsible players, both ends of the ice. And I think that line could be really effective. I think Marty should, we started training camp with them. I would, I don't think Armia is going to take it as a demotion, being taken off the second line and put with those guys. I think he likes playing with Gallagher and Evans, but I think see him put that line together and just stick with it for 5 or 6 games. Give him a chance to build some chemistry. Gallagher's feeling good about himself right now. Obviously, 2 goals in 2 games. I think that would make him feel even better about himself. Like I said, Jake Evans has had it's a contract year for him. It's a contract year for Armia, and Jake Evans has played really, really well. I think the first 2 games, he's played a bit like Brendan Gallagher. He's been a real warrior out there. He's worked hard. He's won some big faceoffs. Really good on the PK with him and Armia. And I really like that line. I think it should be kept together.
I've always been a big critic of Jake Evans the past few years. And, how big of a critic can you be for a guy that's, making as much money as he does and, in the role that he's in? And last night, I really had to put my foot in my mouth because, just you talk about chemistry and building chemistry. It looked like him and Brendan Gallagher had been playing together for years, especially on Gallagher's second goal. The pitch and catch that they were playing, it almost was a fast moving play that you would expect from a first line. And it just ended up in the back of the net. And then, everyone's saying, oh my God, the Canadiens could do it. They could come back. And then what happened. And, the rest of the night is history. But the fact is that Jake Evans is playing with, I don't know what to call it. Is he playing with some fire under his ass because it's a contract year? Or is he just playing with a lot of confidence right now? Or is it both?
Probably a bit of both. And he also, he knows Owen Beck's coming up. He sees Kappen in there. He knows, there's other, Owen Beck's probably the next Jake Evans taking that spot, right? He knows it's not only, as Marty St. Louis said earlier this season, you're not only playing, like if it's a contract year or if you're a young guy trying to earn a spot, you're not just playing for the Canadiens management. You're playing for the NHL management. I mean, opening night, I always post on my Twitter account the scouts that are in the press box. And opening night, there was 15 scouts there. So they're watching Jake Evans too. He knows that. He knows, okay, he wants to stay in Montreal. He likes to be in Montreal, but he knows that he's going to get a contract somewhere next season. And he's aware other guys are watching him and other guys are seeing him. And I think it's not like guys try less when it's not a contract year, but it's just human instinct, right? You don't know what your future holds beyond this season. And Jake Evans is a fourth line for what he makes. He kills penalties. He's a good face-off guy. He doesn't make a lot of money. A lot of other NHL teams would be interested in him, especially in a salary-capped NHL, to slot him in as your fourth-line center.
Yeah, it's the fight or flight, right? That's what it is. It's your survival instincts.
Well, as he said, he said, I asked him about fighting for jobs. He says, when you're a bottom 6 guy in the NHL, you're fighting for your job every day. Top 6 guys, not so much. You got long-term contracts. You got lots of money. Yeah, you're not losing your job tomorrow. Nick Suzuki's not losing his job tomorrow, right? Cole Caufield's not losing his job tomorrow or next year. But for a guy like these guys, Jake Evans has played his whole career like that. He was a late draft pick, right? The odds of him was 5th round, I think it was. The odds of him making it to the NHL were slim right from the beginning. But smart player, good teammate. And like I said, if he's not in Montreal next season, and if I was a betting man, I'd say he probably won't be just because, Kapanen and Beck and guys need to make a role. But he'll be playing somewhere in the NHL next season.
Oh yeah, if he doesn't have to put up 2 points every game, but if he's playing the way he's playing now, he'll find his way onto an NHL roster and be an effective player on that roster. Okay, we barely spoke about him. You just mentioned his name, but Cole Caufield, 2 goals in 2 games. It's hopefully, he can turn into that big 40 goal scorer, 50 goals, maybe. We'll pump the brakes. Let's have him hit 30 first. But maybe he can be that big goal scorer, because while there were struggles on the Canadiens power play, I don't think anyone expected it to go to have 2 goals in 2 games on the power play. So that the power play is working. He has 2 goals, and that's because there's a lot of options on the ice. So hopefully it just keeps going this way for Cole Caufield, because he took a lot of heat last year coming off the shoulder surgery that shortened off season for him. He had a full off season, and it looks like shoulder is in fine form.
I'm going to keep harping on this. I think he's even more of a threat on the power play if you have Matheson and Hutson out there and Suzuki, all 3 of them able to feed him, right? Really happy for Cole Caufield, especially that first goal, wearing number 13, his first regular season game in honor of Johnny Gaudreau. And you saw him look up to the skies after he scored the goal. I mean, we're talking about, Jake Evans' motivation last year with a contract. I'm sure the memory of Johnny Gaudreau is a motivation also for Cole Caufield, wearing that number 13 on the back of his sweater. And there's no doubt Cole Caufield can score goals. He's a natural born. You can't teach the instincts and the vision and hockey sense that Lane Hutson has, and you can't teach the ability to score goals that Cole Caufield has. He's scoring goals since he was 5 years old. It's one of those guys, he just knows how to score goals. But as Marty St. Louis said, I'm not going to teach Cole Caufield how to score goals, but I can teach him how to get into better positions to score goals. And it's going to be interesting to see how we see that this year. But, the goal he scored the power play in the home opener, a great pass from Slavkovsky across the crease to him. And Cole Caufield loves scoring goals, right? I mean, his celebrations are awesome after he scores a goal. So it'll be interesting. I think 35 goals this season for Cole Caufield would be a great year. People thought, 50 is a big number, 40 is a big number. You got to remember he's still a young guy, and playing on a team that's not an offensive powerhouse, right? Like it's one-line offensive team. It's easier to shut down a one-line offensive team than a team that can has 3 lines that can score. But yeah, I'm not worried about Cole Caufield scoring goals. Like, all goal scorers are going to go through hot streaks and cold streaks, but he knows how to score. Yeah,
and it's nice to see him come out of the gate, because you don't want to start hearing the noise right away, because as we see with Matheson, the Sharks could be out and the Pitchforks could be out early.
It's crazy. I mean, and for Matheson, a guy who grew up in Montreal, I wrote a column earlier in training camp about that, and his advice, telling the young guys, don't go on social media. But as he said, you hear it, even if you don't go on it, your parents see it, or your wife sees it, or your brother sees it, or people see it, and you sort of hear it. But the key is sort of just to be able to tune that out. And, the other guys I mentioned too, Josh Anderson, he didn't score his first goal last season until the 25th one. So for him to get that one, it was a little, at first they didn't give it to him, right? Or they gave it to somebody else. Yeah. But it was pretty obvious in the TV replays that he deflected it. So that's a weight off of his shoulders too. But I mean, Montreal, this market, best place in the world to play when things are going good, and the worst place when things are going bad. And even when things are going good, Mike Matheson, 8th in the NHL in defenseman and power play points last season, and people are still dumping on him. So,
yeah, well, that's it. Like he just has all the tools, and to just see what was going on. I don't know what was going on in his head, but just, it's just You have all the tools.
Maybe he's frustrated. Nobody else will shoot, so I'm going to shoot. Nobody else will shoot.
Well, that's it. He said that's what he said. That's what he said.
I'm going to shoot it if nobody else is going to shoot it. But people. There was a lot of critics of PK Subban too, right? Any offensive, and there's going to be critics of Lane Hutson. He's going to, he coughed up the puck behind his net last night one time trying to make a fancy play. You don't want guys like Matheson and Subban and Hutson not to give them the freedom to make those plays and make those choices. And sometimes it's going to backfire. So the more you have the puck on your stick, the more the odds are you're going to cough it up. And people used to criticize PK for coughing up the puck too much. People criticize Matheson for coughing up the puck too much. I'm sure at Edmonton there was critics of Paul Coffey that he coughed up the puck too much because he was carrying it all the time. It's just part of what comes with being one of those offensive-minded defensemen who takes risks. If you don't, if you never take any risks, as Matheson told me last season, I can just shoot the puck off the glass every time I got it and get it out of the zone. I'm not going to score many goals. I'm not going to win many games. So it's that line. There are certain defensemen you do want them to put the puck off the boards and just get it out, and there's other guys you want them to skate it out.
So correction to be made. I said, usually Quinn Hughes usually has, 7, 8, 6 goals a year. Last year he had 17, but that was a career year for a lot of players. Mm-hmm. But, if you find yourself into Vancouver Twitter, it's easy to find yourself as a Montrealer in Toronto and Ottawa Twitter because there's a lot of back and forth that goes on. But if you want to just go take a look at what's going on Vancouver Twitter when they're, in a, let's call it maybe an offensive slump, 5-game losing streak, whatever it may be, go see how they dump on Quinn Hughes because, he coughed up the puck and cost them the game and they needed that win. And that I remember that was the number one argument that the anti-PK crowd always used was he always leads the league in turnovers. Yeah. He was the only one who could freaking carry the puck on the Canadiens back in the day.
Look at the go to NHL.com on the stats and go through the leading point getters last season, and then click on the turnovers. And they're probably the same guys that are the leading scorers are probably the same guys who are leading in turnovers. They take risks with the puck. That's how they get points. And remember PK, all the people, he's, there was, I can't remember if it was the game against Toronto or Boston. Matheson had one play where he went to cut in front of the net and he lost the puck. And I went, but do you want to take that away from him? Do you want to tell him never do that again? Maybe 7 times it works perfect, and the one time he coughs it up. But the other 6 or 7 times you get the puck out of your zone and you create a rush going the other way. But it was a great quote from Matt. I could just fire the puck off the glass and get it out every time if they want me to do that, but we're not going to win.
Yeah, and it's just a great point. You don't want to start nitpicking on small things that because here's the thing from a fan/media perspective. And I'm sure Martin St. Louis would say the exact same thing. When it works, you're not going to notice it because it's not going to always create a goal. Mm-hmm. But when they cough it up or they give the puck away, you're going to notice it because there's going to be an odd man rush going the other way. And it's either going to be in the back of the net, or most of the time it's going to be in the back of the net, or the goaltender, whoever it is going to have to make a spectacular odd man rush save. That's just what it is.
Well, Canadiens fans, watching the game on TV, keep a notepad beside you and put a little check every time Mike Matheson skates the puck out of his own zone. Mm-hmm. And then count the turnovers and compare. There's a lot more times that he skates the puck out of his own zone than when he coughs it up. And Lane Hutson, you can do the same thing with Lane Hutson. And Lane Hutson's going to cough up the puck a lot in the NHL. There's going to be goals scored on the Canadiens because Lane Hutson tried to do something and he got stripped of the puck, and especially early because right now he still hasn't figured out what did work in NCAA that might not work in the NHL, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to learn that pretty quick. So there's going to be nights where Lane Hutson's going to be -3 and coughed up the puck for a goal or two. So do you want him to stop being Lane Hutson? You want him to shoot the puck off the glass? I don't think so.
Yeah, and it's funny because my cousin called me last night after, I think it was in the middle of the third period or at the end of the second, and he just goes, guess what I'm going to say? I go, you're going to be in love with Lane Hutson. And he goes, I love this guy. I can't believe it. He's so good. And I go, and I said to him, I go, what's crazy is that for someone who has never played professional hockey before at any level of his life, How the hell is he doing all this? How is he doing this? The kid has the confidence to pull off any move that worked for him in college at the professional level in the Garden while he's wearing a Canadiens sweater on the Bruins opening night and just not scared of the moment. It's just such a good indicator of where he'll be when the Canadiens get to where they want to be.
As Benoit Brunet put it, he's a natural, just let him play. But remember that saucer pass he made in training camp in one of the scrimmages from deep in his own end, the big bomb, and I think it was Heineman. He hit, and Heineman got stopped. It was actually Cayden Primeau who stopped him on the breakaway. So imagine a game Lane Hutson tries that, and it gets batted down, and it's a 2-on-1 the other way, and they score. People are going to be ripping him. What was he doing? What a stupid play. What a risk. But if it works, it's the greatest play ever, right? This guy's incredible. This guy is amazing. It's unbelievable.
You wouldn't even have to pull up that clip from training camp because it got stopped, right?
Yeah.
You pull up the clip of Erik Karlsson when he was on the Ottawa Senators like a couple of years ago. I think he hit Mike Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
just
from basically the back of his own end on the boards, just hits Hoffman with a saucer pass at the opposing blue line onside in the back of the net. Like, incredible goal. Just show them that, because that's what Lane Hutson was trying to do. And he has the ability to do it. And it just didn't work that time.
Canadiens fans criticizing Matheson. Remember the days when Canadiens defensemen weren't allowed to skate the puck past the red line, when they weren't allowed to rush in, when they had to, as soon as the play was coming out of the defensive zone, they had to back up. They couldn't, try and keep the puck in the own zone. Remember those days? How boring those Canadiens teams were to watch? Do you want to go back to that again? Give me Mike Matheson. Give me Lane Hutson. Give me these guys. And even like Arbor Xhekaj, I thought the first game might have been the best game I've seen Arbor Xhekaj play with the Canadiens. A little bit more shaky against Boston, but he's making these long passes now. These sort of higher risk passes, and it's a good thing, right? Like Marty St. Louis is not going to give him the same leash that he's going to give Matheson or Hutson, but in today's NHL with no red line and all that space, if you see an opening, you see a chance to hit a guy with that long bomb pass, you got to go for it. And it's good to see the Canadiens now under Marty St. Louis. The defensemen have the freedom to do that. They have the freedom to skate the puck. They have the freedom to make maybe the high risk pass and not just keep putting it off the boards. And that defense first mentality all the time, which, I remember sitting in the press box at the Bell Center nights and going, oh my God, thank God I'm getting paid to watch this. This is brutal. I feel for guys paying $300 a ticket to sit and watch this incredibly boring brand of hockey. The games are exciting to watch now. The first two games was exciting as hell. It's the first game, the second game, even though they lost, both games are really entertaining and fun to watch. And that was the case for most of last season too.
And though that's kind of, I feel like over the past few years, it's always been the case against the Ottawa Senators, who they have tomorrow night. So it should be a good game. You're already in the grudge match, we'll call it, of the two preseason games that got pretty nasty between the two teams. So we'll see what comes of that. I'm expecting fast, physical.
It'll be
hard nose, maybe some old school hockey in that game.
Yeah, Arbor Xhekaj will be a busy guy, I think, in that game. And then you got the Penguins coming here on Monday. Like, what a start! You got the Leafs, Bruins, Senators, and Penguins to start the season. That's, we're saying 1-1. If the Canadiens come out of these 4 games 2-2, I think before the season started, if Marty St. Louis or Canadiens fans were told these are your first 4 opponents and you're going to come out 2-2, I think fans would be happy. I think Marty St. Louis would be happy.
I think after the preseason, I think fans and the team, like, of course you want to win every game.
Mm-hmm.
They really are going to want to win Saturday nights.
Yes.
Really going
to. I think if fans had to pick which team the Habs are 100% going 1-1, which team do you want them to beat? Ottawa Senators would be like almost 100%, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. And the only fans that would not answer the Ottawa Senators are the ones that are going to be in the building against the Pittsburgh Penguins. But
someone who doesn't like Sidney Crosby, but there's not a lot of people who don't like Sidney Crosby.
There you go. But that is going to be, for game 3 of as far as game 3 goes in the regular season in hockey, that's going to be must-see TV, I think. at least from my perspective.
Well, the 100% certain bet, I think, is Sam Montembeault is going to be in goal.
Yes, absolutely. Throw your money, get your bets in now. Stu, thank you very much. Enjoy the hockey this weekend and enjoy your long weekend.
All right, you too.
All right, that just about does it for me. I'm Matt Ohayon. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And for those who are celebrating, have an easy fast. I will not catch you next week. I'll catch you in 2 weeks.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBita.tb, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.